Hello everyone, this is a psychic reading for July 2023. It is currently June 29th. Okay, so the first thing that I saw when I was tuning into July was an owl, and it was a vision of an owl that was symbolically telling me to be wise with investments, in particular, not going overboard, and in the way that an owl is very calm and perched on a tree in the dark. It's very much so an observer, and it's not one to be in very much movement all the time. It just sits and it watches, and then when it's the right moment, it swoops in. That's the general advice so far. As far as Bitcoin, it's interesting because I was expecting Bitcoin to go up a whole bunch in July, but it seems that it's kind of already done that, and so because of that, I'm actually seeing that it's more likely to go down towards the middle of the month and then come back up again towards the end of the month. So again, this is not investment advice, and these numbers are not expected to be precise, but more just a approximation. And again, I could always be wrong, so take it all with a grain of salt. But I'm getting the sense that Bitcoin could go down to around the level of 26K again, where it recently was before it went back up. And then it could also just go back up to around 30K again, where it is now after it comes back up. Just kind of repeating this cycle. And it seems like it may be just doing this back and forth thing for a little while. Next month, I don't see too much difference. It kind of just seems to be a general pattern here. So when I tuned more into what's going on in July, I saw a surfer on a wave, and it was as if there was a storm at sea. And when I asked to be shown more about this, what I saw was Joe Biden's face superimposed over the ocean and the waves coming in. And the sense that I got was that people should not jump to conclusions. And again, back to the owl saying "don't go overboard." I mean, I guess that's a good pun intended with the surfboard, but also to play it safe. So from there, I decided to tune into Joe Biden and see what was coming up for him. I was first seeing a lot of chaotic energy and him on the phone, and it reminded me of the storm out on sea metaphor that I was saying earlier. I was getting the sense that he's trying to get things under control involving other countries. This seems far away from the US. This seems like foreign affairs. There's a lot of commotion that I'm picking up on, and this commotion feeling like there's all these actions that are going to be taken, but I don't get the sense that much is actually done. And so it's kind of more just scare in the mindset of people who are paying attention to this. And so, despite the fears, no action is taken. Although the first half of the month I was getting there's a lot of commotion about this situation, the second half of the month there seems to be more calmness and people moving on from it. However, when I tune more into what is it about, I was getting this sense of emotional strain on Joe Biden that continues into the second half of the month. So even though it's kind of calm and the waters have settled, so to speak, there's still this emotional strain. And I was seeing Joe Biden being kind of tense watching something, but he can't do anything about it. And again, this is something that's far away, like not on this continent of America. As time goes on, he reaches more acceptance, and I got the sense that by the end of July, things work out, and I see Joe Biden being relatively happy again. So when I tuned more into what is this drama about that's going on, what came to me was ships out at sea and the coordinated movement. So this could be something about ships literally, or it could be more symbolic in nature. It may represent moving things around. Um, I also got, when I asked, like, what is this about? I got that it may be around Saudi Arabia, and I don't know if that's just geographically around Saudi Arabia or if there's something about Saudi Arabia in particular. Um, but I was also seeing a grid, and I kind of just dismissed it at first and just ignored it, but it kept coming up for me, and so I had to mention something about that. It seems like it could represent a map in the way that there's a grid, or like a grid over the ocean as a way to kind of navigate. I don't know exactly what it means, but I kept seeing a grid. So I'm going to move on now to BRICS. If you don't know what BRICS is, BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. And that is the organization that is kind of taking over the world right now. So, okay, so first of all, last month, June, I was saying there was going to be lots of things. In the previous month, there already was lots of things going on with BRICS. But what happened was that we saw Bangladesh apply to join BRICS, as well as Egypt and Ethiopia just recently today, I saw on the news. Um, of course, there are tons more countries interested in joining BRICS, but these are the ones who actually applied to join last month, which I was talking about, that being a thing that's going on the previous prediction. And what's interesting is that France as well is now showing interest in joining BRICS and was asking to be invited to the BRICS summit. And this is a big deal because France is a Western country, or it's more aligned with the West. And BRICS is kind of the opposing force in the world. So the fact that France is kind of now wanting to go with them, that's kind of a game changer. And another thing that happened with South Africa, announces BRICS summit plans in the future, but they made that plan, and in the month of June they were saying that despite the arrest warrant for Putin, they still plan on having it where Putin is not supposed to go, where he could be arrested, but they're going to ignore that rule, basically putting BRICS first and other legalities second, and kind of ignoring them. So what do I see for BRICS this month? So for this month, next month, July, it's still June. July, I see China really dominating BRICS. That was just the first impression I got. And then I just saw there being small discussions between countries, but nothing too big. I don't see it being as big as June has been. Okay, so moving on. Another thing that I found out was, I didn't realize this, but way back in April, I had said, in regards to Russia, and this is a direct quote from my video, I said, rapid escalation, and this is in April again, rapid escalation in the following months for Russia before more setbacks come their way around June. That would be, it's June 29th right now, and what recently happened was, well, Putin literally fled and ran away from Moscow temporarily while he was being attacked by the Wagner Group, which I've done a reading on that, and if you haven't seen that, you should just check that out on my channel to help put things into perspective. So, anyways, that did happen. I predicted that way back in April. So, Ukraine, I do see Ukraine doing good in July, as you would probably assume, considering everything going on with Russia. Regardless, that's what came up. They could potentially gain back some land, is what I was getting. I don't see this lasting, though. And this is other things that I've been saying in the last 3 months or so, talking about how Russia seems to be weakening in June and then coming back stronger later on. And so that's still what I'm seeing, that Russia looks like they're going to be coming back strong in the following months after July. And possibly towards the end of July as well. So, overall, Putin seems content. Despite what you may be hearing, I see him really using this to his advantage. And I know the Western media likes to make him look bad, but ultimately this seems long-term like it could actually be beneficial. I'm seeing him fixing things up for more future power. So on some level it hurts Putin, and like his image and whatnot, but it may actually help Russia in the long term, because it does seem that the Wagner Group, at least a portion of it, becomes part of the Russian military. So, I know that doesn't necessarily sound good, but that is what Putin wanted. So he is getting what he wants in the end, which is what caused the whole conflict in the first place, was that he wanted the Wagner Group to integrate into the Russian military. So, moving on from politics, let's go ahead and wipe that clear out of our mindset so we can focus on something else. Into our personal lives and the general energy of July. The energy as a frequency or vibration or color, I could say, I saw it as a yellow vibration. And what I was getting when I was tuning into this was that people may have a tendency to forget about the basics and get lost in the pursuits of the intellect. So it's good to stay grounded if you can. I was also getting the sense that, just some general advice, don't get overwhelmed or jump to conclusions in the month of July. It's good to just stick with the basics, as I already said. So what is July good for? July is good for academia or academic pursuits. Research was coming up, so it could be a good time to do research. Sorry, I can't talk. Research. It's also a good month for finding what is true for you. And I don't really even know what that means exactly. Those are just the words that came to me, so I wrote it down for whatever that means to you. Finding what is finding what is true for you. So also intellectual pursuits, of course, um, good for this month, as well as individual pursuits. So pursuing your individual intellectual pursuits and ambitions. This is a good month for that, energetically speaking. So what is this month bad for, energetically speaking? Too much adventure, or too much physical adventure, actually. And this is because people can be ungrounded. I got the sense that people could get lost if there was too much adventure, and I don't necessarily mean that like just people getting lost on a trail, but also getting lost like metaphorically within their life, within what they're doing, because there's too much adventure. They're not grounded enough. Too much action, you could say. Again, the owl, very observant, takes action still, but takes action based on observations. So yes, you can be ungrounded. So I'm not saying you shouldn't have adventures. I'm just saying it may be a bad month energetically for too much physical adventure. Of course, if you're going on a road trip or whatever, I'm not trying to say you shouldn't do it. Just take that into consideration. Also, being stuck in games you don't want to play. I saw this as a vision of someone playing a board game, and I got the sense that this means, being stuck in a game, being stuck in a board game you don't really want to play, but you kind of just feel like you're trapped, and you're like, okay, I just have to finish this game, but it just keeps going on. I guess avoid situations like that. So advice for this month, the overall advice. The words that came to me were, stay where you are, don't give in to outside pressure or fear, and do what you want. Again, it's a very individual month energetically. So take advantage of that and do what you want. If you've watched this video to the very end, I always appreciate a thumbs up. Give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you have not, for monthly predictions and all sorts of other information. Also, I have a Patreon page, which is only $5 a month to join, where I do all sorts of controversial readings. Lately, I've been doing a lot of blind readings, meaning I pick a name that I don't know. I don't know the person, I just know the name, and I just read based off of that. And I've been doing a lot of readings on people who are involved in UFO information, conspiracy theories, secret space program, things of that nature. Because it's far out there and it's interesting to see what comes up for me when I'm reading people and I don't know who they are and I don't know what they're about or what they talk about or what they do. It really takes away the, as remote viewers call it, front loading. So then you really only see, basically what you see is more pure. Oh no, my phone's going off. I'm going to ignore it for now. I also talk about crypto on my Patreon channel as well. Again, give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.